Welcome to the Happiness Happens podcast. I'm Simona Nicole, host of the show, mindset coach, and motivational speaker. I've made it my mission to help you get unstuck, shift your mindset, and understand your worth to help you live your most purposeful life. Each week, I will bring you an idea, guest, or a positive thought that will leave you inspired and empowered to win your life. We decide the stories we tell ourselves and where we invest our energy. I'm so grateful you popped in. Now let's dive in. Hey guys, I hope you're all having a beautiful day wherever you are plugging into today's episode. I am so excited for you to hear today's episode, but before we dive in, I just wanted to hop on here and say that I'm working on the back end on many different changes, many different enhancements, and lots of fun stuff coming your way in 2021. But before 2021 can happen, I have tons of fun stuff happening for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. I have 3 incredible deals that are not on my website, exclusively claimed by sending me a message. I purposely did this because 1, my website is going through an overhaul and I haven't redone it in honestly months, but it's launching soon. And 2, because if you really want these deals, you gotta be serious about wanting the change. So the first deal that I have is I took $100 off my coaching package, my one-on-one coaching package, and threw in a bonus 90-minute session that you can claim. So this is an incredible deal. It's such an amazing value, and coaching one-on-one is so transformative because it really helps you dive into the different areas of your life that you're feeling stuck in, and allows you to take it and learn how to switch it, learn how to empower yourself, learn how to heal the wounds and the stories that have held you back for so many years, but also taking control of your life and creating this beautiful life that you really want for yourself by doing all of the things that bring you the most joy and really starting to dream about what that life looks like for you, what your dream life looks like, what is your passion, what is your purpose, what is it exactly that you want to be doing in this world? And together we uncover all of the noise surrounding that so that you're left with a beautiful, beautiful dream that you turn into your life. The second one is I have unofficially launched, I guess officially now that I'm on this podcast, but unofficially launched a new t-shirt line. It's called the Happiness Happens Today line. And they are absolutely beautiful t-shirts, super luxurious, and they say Happiness Happens Today on them. You can see a picture on my Instagram. Head on over. I changed my handle. It's at Simona, 2 underscores, and then Costantini. I'm going to link it in the show notes so that you can get there super, super easy. So take a look. They're selling really, really fast, and they're available worldwide. So let me know how I can get yours to you by sending me a message. And then the third one is my Pay What You Can coaching sessions for December. So I ran this for the month of November, and it was super, super, super effective. So many people literally changed their lives by paying whatever they could for coaching. The big key thing here with this, for December, I want to be able to offer this again, especially where, with the way that the world is going. I feel like it's really important to make coaching very accessible for people who need it the most, which is exactly why I did the Pay What You Can coaching sessions. The kicker with this one for December is that you have to book them in advance, and it has to be done by November 30th. So in order to have the Pay What You Can coaching sessions in December, they have to be claimed by November 30th. So these 3 deals are literally one of a kind and are super, super, super special for this Black Friday and Cyber Monday specifically. And like I mentioned before, you can't find them anywhere online on my website. You can see them on my social media, but you really do have to reach out and place your order and get serious about your life, guys. It's almost the end of the year and 2021 is around the corner. And, if this year has taught us anything, it's that tremendous change can happen in a short amount of time, but also that we get to create that change in our lives and we get to be the leader of our story. So I'm super looking forward to hearing from you. And as we dive into this week's episode, please remember, if you have a hot sec before you dive into the episode or while you're listening, please rate and review the show and share it with someone that you think needs to hear this message. And also let me know on social media that you're listening. Just tag me into your stories, share it online. Let me know what part you love the most. I'm always so grateful to hear your feedback. It literally makes my day every single day. So yeah, so I really appreciate that. I really appreciate you. And I hope that you enjoyed this incredible conversation. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode on the Happiness Happens podcast. I'm so grateful that you are joining us today. Thank you so much for plugging in your headphones and listening to this week's episode. I'm very excited to bring you today's guest. Super inspirational, so much fun, and so full of joy, and just a really beautiful light. Her name is Julie Schooler, and she's an author of 9, soon to be 10, self-help and parenting books, and a mama of 2 beautiful tiny humans. She wants you to rediscover your sparkle, so she's on a mission to help busy people have all the love, energy, and fun they deserve without the guilt or overwhelm. Julie lives with her family in New Zealand, a small, magnificent country at the bottom of the world, where you may find her trying to bake the world's best chocolate brownie. You can connect with her if you just search for Julie Schooler on all the social media platforms, and be sure to say hi or visit her at her home on the internet at julieschooler.com. Julie, welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited that you're here.
Thank you, Simona. Thank you for having me. I thought we would connect quite well. I love the name of your podcast, Happiness Happens.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You know what? I truly believe that it does. And I think ever since I started the show, the name Happiness Happens has grown and evolved in so many different significant ways for me that it's just, it's become this incredible community of wonderful people like yourself coming on and sharing their story and, helping people live a little bit happier. And I have to say, I wish we were a little bit closer because I would love to try your brownies. I'm a big fan.
I've been practicing during our lockdowns here. So
I love that.
There was one time like 12 years ago and I really did make the perfect brownie, and I've just never been able to make it as good. So I'll just keep trying it. It doesn't hurt to try.
Exactly. If I ever make my way down there, I will absolutely be standing outside your door and be like, Julie, it's me. Remember?
You can't go too wrong with brownies.
You can't. They're a fan favorite in my family. So yeah. I guess to dive into this conversation, I would absolutely love if you could just tell us a little bit about your journey that's brought you to where you are today.
Oh, thanks, Mona. So about 5 years ago, now 6 years ago, goodness, I had a nice secure job and I lost it, and I was 6 months pregnant, and I was under contract, so the contract just ended. It was a professional decision, but it just completely threw me, and I ended up on a coach's couch, and she had just written a book, and I said, "Oh, I kind of would like to write a book," and now, 5 years later, 6 years later, I'm just writing my 10th book. So I just kind of blinked. And I've written books. But I make it sound easy, but it wasn't easy. But I had to get over quite a lot of feelings of rejection from my old job, and that took a little while. And also I had to get over imposter syndrome, because who was I? As like a qualified accountant, who was I to write? So I realized after a while that you're a writer if you write. So I wrote, and yeah, I credit having children with starting to embrace my creativity, and then this losing my job, which I at the time thought was one of the worst things that happened to me, being one of the best things that happened to me.
I feel like that's such an interesting thing, and it's a crazy synchronicity, I think, that you and I are having this conversation right now, because I know that where I am in the world, and I don't know exactly how it is where you are in the world, but there's tons of people losing their jobs today. Lots of people have lost the secure job that they thought that they would be in, the job that they've worked so hard to grow in. And so, what did it feel like, when that happened, but then also how did you start to work through the feelings that are associated with that, like the feelings of rejection, and to help yourself come out the other side?
Well, I actually kind of had to acknowledge the feelings of rejection, and I never tell people not to feel what they need to feel. And at first, I wanted to downplay it. I mean, really, it's a job, and then if you lose a job, you go and try and get a new one, right? It wasn't something that could necessarily be permanent, but um, but I, but I was really hurting, and it wasn't until I sort of talked to my coach and really acknowledged that I could actually work through it. So I always tell people, feel your feelings and actually let them actually go through you, actually feel them, and then actually you do come out the other side. I can't remember what your initial question was.
No,
I
that
just
was
get
pretty
stuck on
much
rejection.
No, you're like, oh, that word. No, but it's kind of like to do with the fact that, so many people are finding themselves in this situation right now. You know what I mean? Especially with this time of pandemic. And so many people have, you know, lost what they expected would be. You know what I mean? And so I think with that, even though when you lose a job, it's not, especially in these circumstances and similar to you, it's not your fault. Like, it wasn't anything that you did. I think that part is like the thing that people, I mean, maybe should sort of remember that it's not their fault. But I'm also curious, I was curious, and you did answer the question. I was curious about what it looked like for you and how that felt. So, and how you started to change and heal that. And I really think that that's such a beautiful way of sort of turning inwards and acknowledging and sitting with what you were feeling. I love that. To flip on that, you said you started working with your coach, and I'm curious, what inspired you to work with a coach in that moment? Because I feel like, when there's so much uncertainty, when you lose a job, when you do any of those different things, when any of those things happen, I should say, that's a time of uncertainty. And a lot of people don't feel comfortable in investing in a time of uncertainty. But would you say that, like, it was a good thing that you did that?
That was one of the best investments I ever made. Oh, without a doubt. I wouldn't be where I am without it. I don't know why I decided. I just decided that because I was pregnant, I didn't want to pursue a full-time job, go back into a full-time job, and I decided I needed to find something else to do. And I'd been following this particular woman online for a while and getting her email newsletters and stuff, and she'd just written a book, and I just thought, wow, I probably, like, she's the exact person I really need to talk to. And it was a significant investment, and I've made, but I can't underestimate how much an investment in yourself, underestimate, anyway, investing in yourself, no matter what. Words. I'm a writer. Anyway.
That's okay. The words
are completely, like, not happening for me today. Anyway. I'm so excited about talking to you.
I'm excited too, and I ramble when I'm excited, and I'm like, you know what I mean? I keep going on and on.
I can't talk. Yeah, New Zealanders ramble and mumble and talk too fast. Anyway, investing in yourself is always going to be worth it, okay? And I know some people don't have the resources and the money or whatever, but just work out what's the most important thing. If you can't invest in a one-on-one coach, can you invest in a program which will be cheaper? Can you just buy a book that speaks to you? So or get a book out of a library. Then it's yeah. Find something that where you want to direct your focus to. That it helped me to have a different focus.
I love that. And, sort of to close the loop on that topic, on this part of the conversation, I'm curious, what advice would you give to someone who is in this situation now?
I just think just be aware that no one likes change, and no one likes unexpected change that you're not in control of. No one likes feeling out of control. So again, just feel those feelings, just feel anxious, scared, worried, whatever you need to feel, and then work out how you can redirect your focus so that you can control the next step. So I hope that helps.
I love that. I love that a lot. And I'm curious, you know, so with this idea of rediscovering your sparkle, how did this come to fruition? You know, I guess it's a long-winded way of saying, you know, how did you know that you wanted to help people rediscover this within themselves?
Because I needed it.
Oh, I love that.
I wrote all my books for me. So if they help someone else, then great. But I just, you know, if I feel like if I need it, then someone else must need it as well. So that's where it started. If a longer story is, I went to a Tony Robbins event a few years ago called Date with Destiny, and it's a 6-day event, right? And on one of the days, we're always shouting and dancing and stuff. And one of the days we were shouting out our values, our redefined values, our new great values, right? And most people were shouting out courage and kindness and joy and freedom and stuff like that. And one of my values was sparkle. And I was like, what? Like, when I was shouting it to the person next to me, and they're like, did you just say sparkle? And I was like, yeah, sparkle. It's just coming up for me. And that's kind of like how it all started. Like I just realized there was something there with sparkle, and I needed to go ahead with it. And then a few months after that, I was talking to a coach, and I just said, look, I think I need to write. Because I already wrote a book on happiness, right? Finding your happiness, called Crappy to Happy. And I was like, I think I need to do I think I need to do something really similar, but sort of even lighter, real, just getting down to the absolute basics of how to rediscover your sparkle. She was like, rediscover your sparkle? Yes, rediscover your sparkle. And so yeah, so that's how it all started. And then even better, I had like a kind of a great visit from the creative muse or a divine download or whatever you want to call it. And I had this thing with a lot of my books. I'm looking over my books, if you're wondering. Here's my Rediscover Your Sparkle book.
Oh,
and
I love it.
It's got a nice little
It's
pink,
beautiful.
and that's a dandelion. I talk about a dandelion. I have a dandelion story in my book. But what was I saying? And what was I saying? Oh yes, I love acronyms, right? And a lot of my books ended up with acronyms, like my bucket list book and my healthy eating book. But and then I realized that Sparkle was just the perfect acronym for like all these kind of sparkle related activities. And so I'll just tell you what they stand for. So Sparkle, I've got savor, play, appreciation, rest, kindness, lightheartedness, and extraordinary. So and I was just like, oh, it just works. Everything works. And so the book was one of the easiest ones that I to write after all that. So
wow, that's amazing. And what would be like top 3, if you have 3, but however many you want, you know, ways to rediscover your sparkle? High level, of course, because we can't give it all away, because people have to be able to go and download the book and get the book, right?
Yeah. Oh, the ebook's free at the moment, so if anyone wants to download it, they can. So it depends what you're after. It depends what you really need at the moment. One of the things that I challenge grown-ups to do is to play. And play can be anything you like, but I think play is what you think is an indulgence and you're too busy for. So for me, play was reading novels. For other people, play might be taking up that sport that they lost as a child, you know, joining a tennis club or something. Or play might be doing some crafting or you know, something like that. So I encourage people to play. Another one I like, I really like anything that doesn't take very long. So so I know you do a gratitude practice in the morning, and the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is thank my bed. So I just go, thank you, bed.
I love that.
And I got that from Louise Hay, who is the publisher author and publisher at Hay House. And it's so ridiculous, right? Because you're thinking an inanimate object, but it's so profound because there's so many people who don't even get to sleep on a bed. And, you know, hundreds of years ago, no one had beds, and like even these days a lot of people don't have beds, so you're thinking your bed, and it's a great way to start the day. So so that's what I say: play, appreciation, and what can we do for a third one? We'll talk about kindness. So I think a lot of the time we're unhappy or we're stressed out because we're so in our head. Kindness gets us out of our head because we're thinking about somebody else. So any way that you can be kind, even if it's just I heard one of your guests said that you should text 3 people or something.
Yes.
And just tell them, say that you're thinking about them and they're great. I got a text like that the other day, just out of the blue, from a friend, and it made my day. I can't even tell you how much it was. She was just like, oh, it's just been so great being your friend, and how great that you do everything, and like all the new things you do, and like it just made my day. So just be kind in any way you can. Ring your mum, call your mum, or send a note to your restaurant and talk to and email them and say how much you enjoyed their service the other night, anything like that. So there's three, but there's plenty more. All I want to say is Sparkle doesn't have to take very long and doesn't have to cost anything.
I love that, especially that you said doesn't have to cost anything, because I think a lot of the times, especially when it's doing something nice for somebody else, a lot of people, not everybody, and that's a generalization, but a lot of the time people associate that with money. How much is something going to cost? How much is it going to cost me to, bring you a coffee or buy you a gift card or, a little something to show you thank you. But I really, really love that it doesn't always have to have a monetary value behind it, or doesn't have to cost anything. I think kindness to bounce off of exactly what you're saying, it's how you treat people, right? Like I know so many people who can just be so nasty, and it's like, how hard is it to just create a little bit of space in your life to hold space for somebody else? You know what I mean? Like just to have that understanding that somebody else may be experiencing something in their life today that maybe isn't the best feeling ever, but if you can extend a little more kindness to them, the way that they're able to receive that could change the course of their entire day or entire week. So I love that you added kindness in there. I mean, this is the Happiness Happens podcast, of course. So I love that so much.
And I just want to say, I truly understand that people are lashing out. People are sad, angry, and maybe not treating themselves or other people as well as they would like to be. It's a really, really hard time at the moment. And I always say it's actually harder to be happy than not to be happy. It actually takes you. I know happiness happens, but you've kind of got to set up a few systems and beliefs and structures in order to allow happiness to happen, as far as I'm concerned. So
I completely agree with you. Completely agree. Because I think that, happiness does absolutely happen, but it happens with intention. You know what I mean? You can't just like wait for things to fall into your lap. It's like anything. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're a business owner, you want a client, you can't just sit there and be like, where are they? You know what I mean? No, you have to take some kind of action, even if it's not big, massive action. Any step towards something, I think, is a good start. But I completely agree with you that happiness happens when you actually put intention.
I like that. Put attention on it. Put focus on it. You only get what you focus on, right? That's number one. I get so excited. My hands are up here. So
I know, me too. I'm like, hi.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I was actually having this conversation with someone today about taking action towards your dreams, even if you don't know how exactly it's going to turn out. So for example, like, you might have a goal in mind, or you might have a dream in mind, or you might have something specific in mind that you're trying to achieve. But one thing that always sits in my mind is the time is going to pass anyways. You know what I mean? The 6 months will pass, the 1 year will pass, the 2 years will pass, the 5 years of you being in whatever you're in right now, and maybe you're feeling a little stuck, like the time is going to pass. So why not take a step towards the direction that you want to be in, even if a little tiny baby one, small. You start small and then you build that momentum up. Anyways, it's interesting.
Yes.
As you brought this up, I had a conversation with someone about this today. So I thought that was interesting.
I mean, I wrote a book on goal setting, and I completely think that everyone should do some goal setting, but always have an end result in mind, but don't think that that's all that you can achieve, and don't be upset if you don't even get there. Like if you decide to run a marathon and you don't get to the finish line, but you've done training and your health has improved, isn't that still a win? Like, you also said on one of your recent podcasts about celebrating. You just got to celebrate the small wins. There's only small wins in 2020. So please just celebrate whatever you can.
I love that. It's so true. I think anything, honestly, especially in this year, I think getting out of bed is a celebration.
Yeah.
I think getting your head off the pillow is a celebration. Acknowledging that you need help is a celebation.
Yes.
Making time for yourself, all of it, like every single thing. It's so funny that you said, I think you're reading my mind today. I was, because it's funny.
I think we're just in sync.
I think we just are. I keep a goals list to like the left over here, and I have it like taped, and I haven't looked at it in a long time because the goals that I set at the beginning of it was the beginning of 2020. And I never really revisited after that. That was like the pandemic hit. I was like, well, here we go. I was like, I'm going to do the best that I can. And it is what it is. And so I haven't really looked at it in a few months, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, one of them is like, retire my corporate career on August 1st. I was like, yep, we've done that. I was like, we got laid off. Yep. You know what I mean? And then I was like, okay, launch coaching business. Yes.
Interesting what you wish for. Yes.
Well, that's just it. When you put things out into the universe, like you need to be specific because, like it will deliver, you know what I mean? But then there's a couple things on here too. And I'm like, okay, video-based podcast on YouTube. Yep. Done that. And it's like, it's crazy. Some of them are like so ambitious. But I'm looking at this list and I'm like, it is so different than where I am, but I wouldn't have now any other way than it is. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. You put it out and you don't realize. I was reading a goals list I wrote 10 years ago, and it just like, I was just like, oh my goodness, I've achieved all this 10 times over. Like like
unbelievable.
You just don't realize. Yeah.
No, you don't realize. And I love that you still have that, because it's such a great reminder of like how far you've come, which adds to the celebration and adds to the, you really can create the life that you want for yourself. But again, like you were saying, it's that aligned intention and aligned action to get yourself there. I love that. Mm-hmm. I love that so much. Would you say like your 3 tips for, in terms of rediscovering your sparkle, would you say those are similar to like sparkle strategies? Because I know you talk about specific sparkle strategies.
So those are some of the sparkle strategies I what I call sparkle strategies. And it wasn't until I was writing this latest book that will be out soon that I was like, oh, these are just self-care strategies. And I never liked the term self-care. I always thought it sounded like a shampoo commercial. And
I want to quickly pause this interview and tell you about the Handel Group coaches that I've had the honor and privilege of bringing onto the Happiness Happens podcast. With every conversation and interview, I've learned something so impactful and so life-changing. Inner You Life is the online coaching course from Handel Group that gives you the tools to get yourself unstuck, wildly happy, and thriving where it matters most to you. Your relationship to yourself, career, love, body, money, time, and more. From wherever, whenever. Recommended by Hugh Jackman, Dr. Mark Hyman, Forrest Whitaker, Elena Brower, and hundreds more. Taught in MIT, Stanford School of Business, and 50+ institutes of learning across the world. Visit inneryou.coach and use the code HappinessHappens at checkout for $75 off. Now, back to the episode.
and so I have never written the word self-care until my latest book, and then I was like, I looked back on the sparkle strategies, I was like, oh, these are just self-care strategies. Deep breathing and meditation, and things that people generally talk about. I'm not sure what else to say.
No, I love that. I suppose I wanted to, because I've seen you talk about sparkle strategies before, so I just wanted to make sure if those were the 2 in the same, or if they were something different. And I think that's really, really great. And we were talking about before this as well, I think before we hit record, as I listen to this back, I'll probably realize that we had talked about it as we were recording. But oh yeah, no, we did. We talked about it as we were recording when you were saying, as an accountant, like, the imposter syndrome, like, who are you to write a book? Who are you to do all of these different things? But I mean, you've written now almost 10. What would you say is like the biggest takeaway or lesson as you were writing the books? Like, what's one thing that you learned the most, maybe about yourself or about the process, or something that was a big takeaway for you?
I learned that there is one space after a full stop or period, not two.
Say it louder for those in the back. No,
that was a great back and forth with my editor. Anyway, I learned to embrace the creative process, and the creative process does just kick your butt. It kicks your butt, and even with my 10th book, it kicks my butt. And now I know it's going to kick my butt, and then I still don't like it, and it still does it. So the creative process, you like write something, and then the next day you write nothing because you can't write, and the next day you write something and you think it's the most horrendous thing in the world, and it's just so up and down, and you just got to go with how it is. And at the end, you've written something and you read it back and you go, did I write that? That was amazing. Or, I wrote that. And kudos to me. But like sometimes I write things and I'm like, did I actually write that? Wow.
I'm a genius.
I was rereading my book before the interview with you, and I was just like, oh, that's pretty good. So you just got to learn to embrace what the creative process will always kick your butt and will always come out in the end, in the wash, it will always come out great. So you just got to let it do its thing. You're like, embrace, like, I just think no matter what, part of the extraordinary thing in Sparkle is that we're all unique, right? And the way we express our uniqueness, that one of the main ways we can ever do it is through our creativity. So we've got to embrace our creativity these days, and know that there's going to be downsides to that, but know that in the end it actually works. It will be working for you.
I just love that so much. It's so true. That's such a good point. Do you have so if we think about goals for just a second, do you have like a yearly goals list, monthly goals list, or just like overall bucket list of what you want to achieve?
Yes. Yeah.
To all the above?
I in my goal setting book, I encourage people to write 1 year goals, because I don't know, just for me, that's kind of like all I can kind of handle in my head. And then kind of break those down into how you're going to do them throughout the year, if that's monthly, weekly, kind of revising them. I also have like a bucket list, a long-term bucket list that I've just got on my goals sheet. And then so when I'm sitting down at the beginning of the year to write my 1 year goals, and I keep those to four main goals, I kind of look at the bucket list things and say, or like the very long-term goals, and say, what can I achieve, or what can I partly achieve out of that? I think it's really important to dream big and then plan small.
I love that. I think that's such a good point. And what would you, I've heard this from you before, an apocalypse bucket list.
Bucket list.
Yeah.
So I really like bucket lists. I wrote a book on bucket lists.
You have a book for everything. I love it.
I think on my gravestone it's going to be, she wrote a book on that. So what happened is when I turned 40 a couple of years ago, so I did 40 things on my bucket list in the year I turned 40. And so some of those were big things, but some of those were small things. So I grew I did some small free things, like I learned how to juggle, I grew sunflowers, and then I did some big things, like I did hot air ballooning and I jumped out of a plane and stuff. And so I really like bucket lists. Look at your face. Sorry. I made it sound easy, but it wasn't easy.
Yeah, you just jumped out of the plane, just casually. No problem.
That was the last thing I did, and I only did it because I'd done 39 other things on my bucket list, and I knew I had to do it, and it was on the 30th.
How was it?
Just absolutely petrifying.
Do you remember it, or did you black out? Because I think I would black out.
No, I remember it. Yeah. I remember like it was just the free fall bit, like it's the scary bit. Like I remember thinking, this seems to be a very long free fall. It's only like 30 seconds or 45 seconds or something. I was like, when is the parachute going to open? Yeah.
Would you ever do it again?
No.
My fiance wants to skydive. He wants to jump out of a plane. He's like, keeps asking me, he's like, come on, let's do it. I'm like, no. I will be on the ground. I will catch you when you fall.
No, you should do it. Yeah.
I think someone would have to just kick me out of there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to jump.
The scariest thing is like the anticipation and like driving there. So it was quite a long drive.
Oh,
and then,
God.
Like, waiting and like putting on the parachutes and getting like the training, like even though it's a tandem skydive, they tell you to, like all these sort of safety procedures and stuff, and then being on the plane, and then the plane goes up, and it's that waiting, and then it's like,
you're not talking me into this.
Well, when I was there, and I knew I had to do it, and then like a guy turned up, and like his friends had a blindfold on him, and like it was his surprise birthday gift. And I thought, how lucky are you? Because you didn't know that this was going to happen, right?
Oh, my God.
So I was like, well, that's a lot easier, I think, because then he's just got like, just the plane ride really to worry about it. Yeah. So maybe I think your fiance should just like tell you he's taking you for a picnic, and then take you to the skydiving place one day, and then you just don't have a choice.
I think I would just pass out in the sky.
It's fine. That's fine.
Oh my God.
Anyway, so I like bucket lists. So, but apocalypse bucket list is just a little bit different, and it is everything that you kind of have been prevented from doing because of the pandemic. So, and this can be really small things. So I encourage people to just write really small things down. So for me, it was visiting my favorite burger place.
Oh yeah.
Because here we had a severe lockdown, and every eatery was closed. I was walking along my favorite beach because in our lockdown we're only allowed to stay in our local neighborhood. We weren't allowed to travel. Even like the beach is only 10 kilometers, 5 miles away.
Wow.
And we weren't allowed to go there. And hugging my mum, because she put herself into self-isolation because she she's a bit older, and and so I've managed to achieve all those things, and those are very small things. So an apocalypse bucket list just helps you focus on what is actually truly important to you, and you'll find that you were doing things before the pandemic that you actually don't want to put on your apocalypse bucket list or on your to-do list ever again. So it helps you focus. Again, focus seems to be the theme of what I'm talking about today.
I love that a lot, and I really particularly love that you break it down small. You know what I mean? That it doesn't have to be like these big, massive things. It can literally be as simple as like walking outside the street. And it kind of gives you like this hope that when you start to cross them off, you realize how many of the things that you missed doing, like you've missed, going to see your mom, and missed going to your favorite beach. How many of the things that you missed, that you were able to redo again. And I think it gives you this whole new appreciation for life and what you do,
I think I really like bucket lists because we have 6 human needs, and our two of our main needs are for certainty and for variety, and these tend to kind of rub up against each other, right? But a bucket list meets both those needs, because you've got certainty because you're writing a list of things that you want to do, and then you've got variety because on the list is a variety of things you want to do. So a bucket list meets your needs, and what we need right now is things that meet our needs more than anything, and especially in a time of pandemic, anything that positively increases our control and our certainty is a good thing.
I completely agree with that. I love that. That's a really, really great tip for everyone who's listening right now. Just to go and create that apocalypse bucket list, or any bucket list in general. It gives you guidance, and it gives you something to work towards, something to work on, something to be excited about. So I love that. And I think what I love too is that you've differentiated it from a goals list. So you still have your goals, and then you have like your your extras. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
It's still goals, but the bucket list is those really special things. And a bucket list is just those really special things that are just really tiny. So, yeah,
it's so true.
And I always say, you know, like one of the things you can do to increase your control is just write the list. Like you don't have to do it, and it's very difficult to do some of the things right now. I understand most people can't travel, but it doesn't stop you writing the list.
That's it. It's so true.
And then you're putting it out to the universe, right? So
exactly, and you're also taking action towards your happiness.
Intention.
Look at us
Focus.
going with this attention, and all of the topics are all flowing together. How did you come up with the topics for each of your books? I know you mentioned before that you wrote them pretty much based on what you needed at the time. Is that how all the books came to fruition?
Yeah, pretty much. It's what I was going through at the time or what I needed at the time. So the first book I wrote was on potty training because that's what I was doing, and I didn't find the right resource. So and I think most of the books are, you know, like what I was going through or what I decided I wanted to put my do a bit of research on. The purpose book came out. It's called Find Your Purpose in 15 Minutes because of that Tony Robbins event I went to, and it took us 6 days to find our purpose. I was like, I think I can do that quicker.
Yeah.
So I worked out a way to do this. And in the book that I released about this time last year, the decluttering book, just pulling it out, just decluttering book.
Oh, wow.
Kind of free forever. So I I kind of needed this as well, although I'm a relatively tidy person, but everyone has more clutter than they need. But that was because I told people that I was going to write a book on decluttering, and then for 2 years I had all my friends going, when is that book going to come out? And so just be careful about what you tell people you're going to do as a goal, because then you're held accountable, which is a positive and a negative thing.
I love that. I love that. That's such a good point. And, you know, in terms of happiness overall is the theme, I guess, are there any tips that you have, maybe something that's in one of your books, you know, a tip for our listeners to encourage them to sort of tap into and find their happiness, especially when, you know, maybe they don't feel so happy or in a time that feels so uncertain?
Yeah, so I said before, you've got to get out of your own head, and I said kindness is a good way of doing that. Another way of doing that is to get out of your own head in any way, to get into your own body. And so there's a couple of different ways. So if you're a bit more sedentary, then just a couple of deep breaths and looking at the moon is amazing. What we're trying to do is just lower the negative thoughts and beliefs, and just invite a bit more positivity into the mind, into the heart. And if you're in for a bit more, if you want to do a little bit more boisterous stuff, then a 1 minute dance party. So just putting on some sort of loud music for 1 minute and just going for it, and just gets you out of your head completely. You're not thinking negative thoughts, you're not thinking positive thoughts, you're not thinking. And that's what we need. You just need to snap back into something a little bit more positive. I know a 1 minute dance party is not a panacea for a global pandemic, but it can't hurt, right?
It can't hurt. I completely agree. And, you know, you're getting out of your own head. You give yourself this chance to like just do something different, to shake up the stagnant energy, to, you know, do something that, you know, is different than maybe you do every single day, or, you know, something just different. Something different.
Yes, I mean, having kids is great for this sort of stuff because it's pretty easy to get out of your own head. I mean, this morning the kids were ready for school, and then they were running around the house, and instead of saying, "Oh, come on, stop it, guys," I just joined them, and we played tag for 5 minutes, and it was so much fun, you know. And it doesn't hurt anyone. We weren't late for school, and I said to them, you know, if you're ready for school on time tomorrow, we'll just do this again tomorrow, you know. And they were so happy, and you know, and we're all a little bit puffed, and we weren't thinking about, well, I wasn't thinking about my inbox, and, you know, they weren't thinking about school or anything. We were just thinking about who was going to be it next.
I love that. You're just being present. It's so good. Yeah. And you're also encouraging them to be ready for school on time all the other days, because every day you're like, Mom, do we get to play tag again? And you're like, only if ready by 7.
Yeah, gotta brush your teeth first.
I love that. That's so fun. And I feel like they'll always look back on those memories and how fun that was. You know what I mean? Because you don't remember the rushing. You don't remember the going from here to here to here, unless that's all you do every single day is rush and go from here to here to here. But you remember those moments of pause, and you remember those moments where you do something different, or you give yourself a different, chance to do something completely out of the box for you. So I absolutely love that. I love that.
Yeah. Say yes, join in,
Exactly. How can someone, and you might have just answered it before, but how can someone create a little more happiness in their day, every day, starting today?
So lots of strategies in the podcast, but my favorite one is stop watching the news. Just stop watching the news, stop consuming it, stop reading it, just stop it. Just stop. Please take the apps off your phone. Actually physically delete the apps off your phone, and don't habitually go there. Go and read a book on your phone, or do something else instead. Don't look at your phone. And I can't tell you how much happier it makes you feel if you don't have constant negative, crappy, stressful, scary thoughts going into your brain. It just actually puts a wall up against those. And I know some people want to be informed a little bit, especially in the time of pandemic. So I challenge everyone to absolutely, completely stop watching the news for a week. Just don't consume it at all. And then if you want to bring it in after that, then really be selective about the websites and sources that you read the news from, and choose your 2 or 3 articles that you want to read a day or something. But try it for a week. Try it for a week and see if you feel any happier.
I love that. I honestly agree with this so much. I personally, I hate watching the news. I like to stay informed, and I do that in other ways, but I can't stand it. Watching the news briefing and the this and the that, and I'm just like, honestly, like, you are a product of what you consume. You know what I mean? And so if you choose to sit in front of the negativity, in front of the this and the that, like, there's so many other sources to learn so many different things. There's podcasts about literally everything. Anything you want in the entire world is on YouTube. Anything that you want to learn about whatever topic is actually available to you at your fingertips. And so, it's that choice between educating yourself and understanding something for yourself, instead of just listening to what other people are telling you. You know what I mean? I think that there's value in it, but at the same time, there's also value in doing your own research too.
We habitually do things that don't make us feel great.
Yeah.
And we just don't realize.
So true.
So why not try not doing it for a week? Just break the habit and replace it with, a great TV show, a great podcast, a great TED Talk, a positive YouTube channel. There's so many other things, as you said, that you can replace it with, or just going outside and going for a walk.
I love that so much. Julie, where can people get your book or books?
So just look for me on the socials, Julie Schooler. That's like school with an ER. If you say hi on the socials anywhere and I see it, I always say hi back. And the Rediscover Your Sparkle ebook is free right now. So just find it on your favorite online store.
I love that. That's so kind that you did that. To allow, especially in this time, I feel like people could really use a little bit more sparkle in their day every day.
Yeah, I get emails every week from people saying, thank you for giving me my sparkle back. And so that's really nice to hear. I mean, I know there's sparkle deep down in everybody. Sometimes you just need a little bit of help to get it back.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That's so beautiful. Thank you so much, Julie, for sharing all of your insight with us today. I had so much fun talking to you, and I absolutely love this conversation. I felt like we have been on the same page ever since we hopped on here together. I love that. Yeah. Amazing.
Thank you, Simona. It's just been fabulous. I love the internet and connecting, Canada to New Zealand. Isn't that amazing?
It is. It's honestly, it's so amazing, and it blows my mind every time, because it's like, it doesn't really matter how far you are, like, physically. we're literally sitting in the same living room, if you will, you know what I mean? And just having a conversation about things that light us up. And I absolutely just am so grateful that you came on today to share some of your light with all of us.
Thank you for having me on.
You're welcome. And thank you so much, everyone, for tuning into this week's episode on the Happiness Happens podcast. Please take these tips and implement them in your life and implement them in your day every day. There's so much value here, you guys. And these small things absolutely are what change your life. They change the story, and they change, your outcome and your ability to get to that next step. So definitely go back to the beginning again, write down the tips and share it with someone that you know needs to hear this message. And I will see you all next week. Remember that happiness happens when you're least expecting it.
Thanks so much for being here today. I hope these words have brought you inspiration, insight, and a bit more happiness. Please leave a comment or a review if this episode resonates with you. I would be so grateful. Until next time, remember that happiness happens when you're least expecting it.